Hey everyone, Theron Asbury here with Revital Outdoors, bringing you another exciting podcast. Tonight we're going to do a little something different. We're going to do another edition of our RedCrest bonus podcast. We're going to be looking at next week. The Major League Fishing RedCrest Championship is going to happen on Grand Lake of the Cherokees in Grove, Oklahoma. The expo is going to take place out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Revital Outdoors is very excited to announce we will be at the expo. Come by and see us in booth 2214. Very excited to be around everyone next week in Oklahoma. We're going to be doing a $500 giveaway. We're going to be giving away samples. We will have product there for sale, as well as come by and meet all of our wonderful pro staff that are involved with Revital Outdoors. So it's going to be a very exciting week in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tonight, we're going to talk to Mr. Jeremy Lawyer. Jeremy is a pro circuit angler, or was a pro circuit angler. He now competes on the Bass Pro Tour. This is his rookie year on the Bass Pro Tour. And the way he's going so far, I think it's really safe to say that he will be at the 2023 RedCrest. So really excited to talk to another Bass Pro Tour angler and see what his history has been on in Grand Lake. Jeremy has had a lot of strong finishes in Grand Lake. He lives in Missouri. He's not too far away. Jeremy has a big history with fishing, Major League Fishing. He's won the BFL All-American. He's won a FLW Tour event. So the guy has a phenomenal career, so really looking forward to interviewing him tonight. Before we get started, as always, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you get notified when all of our content is dropping. Also, check us out, Revital Outdoors, on Facebook and Instagram. That being said, let's go ahead and bring him into the studio. Mr. Jeremy Lawyer from Missouri. How you doing this evening, bud?
Good, Theron. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I was looking at your Facebook today. Looks like you were fishing on Table Rock today.
I was, Toyota has a bunch of things going on, preparing for the RedCrest and different things, and for the Bass Pro Shops World Fishing Fair. And so they've got a lot of people in town, and some of those people want to go fishing. So we lined up some boats, and Luke Stoner got everything taken around with several people from Toyota, and we took a bunch of them fishing. Some of them caught their first bass. Some of them caught just their first one out of Table Rock. It was a really fun morning.
Good for you. Good for you. So, well, Jeremy, I know you've got a long history in your bass fishing career. I know you still work a full-time job, but I think I remember correctly, you won the BFL All-American in 2016 or 2017?
2016, yeah. I finished second in 15 and thought I watched my chance right off into the sunset, and then was lucky enough to have another stab at it and won it at 16.
Yeah, 2016, you won the Forest Wood Cup, or you won the BFL All-American. Then you went to the Forest Wood Cup. You almost had a chance to win that one. You walked away with a top 5 finish at that tournament. Really phenomenal to see the BFL All-American winner do as well as you did. Then you went to the FLW Tour. You won the Grand Lake event in 2019. So, man, you've had a stellar career. I remember watching you fish the Okie division back when I was in high school on Grand Lake. So you got a lot of great history there. What clicks for you so well in Grand Lake, and why do you like it so well?
Well, I like all the Ozarks lakes, but it's one of those lakes that just brings its own, set of criteria to the Ozarks. I consider an Ozark lake, even though it's in Oklahoma, because it's just a few miles across the Oklahoma line from us here in Missouri. So yeah, but if you just look at all the criteria to fish shallow, power fishing, boat docks, largemouth, you're mainly targeting them. A lot of us really like to do that. So Grand Lake has a very, very great population of fish in it. So it makes you sometimes look better than what you really are just because the lake's that good.
Absolutely, absolutely. So looking forward to next week, RedCrest, MLF's championship event. They've tried to have events there in the past because of flooding, COVID, a lot of other different obstacles. They've had to cancel events. Finally, we get to have an event on Grand Lake. Major League Fishing is based out of Tulsa, so they're going to be right in their backyard. What's your predictions on next week? And maybe give us some insight on what you would do if you were fishing the tournament.
I tell you what, the moon's coming full. We got beautiful weathers, warm nights. The spring peepers are peeping. It's going to be all on the bank. It's going to be a really, really good beat down to where the whole lake's going to be open. I've been down there fishing just a little bit because I wanted to see what's going on, and we had a local event. We jumped in. But the lake's really clean from one end to the other. There's not a big flood, or we haven't had any major weather that's caused one end of the lake to be dirty. And what that's going to do is really open up the entire lake to be able to be as stable as what it's been for the last several weeks. As long as we don't have a major storm come in and mess something up, It's going to open up the lake, spread the anglers out. There's going to be a lot of fish to be caught off the bank with the full moon and the warm nights. And I think the average per fish of what you see put on the scales is really going to surprise a lot of people. I think you're going to see a 3-pound average, and that's hard to do in the lake when you start adding up a few hundred bass to be able to say you've got a 3-pound bass average. But I think that's definitely going to shock people how good the quality is going to be when it comes out of there. But, I think a big player is going to be a spinnerbait, a square bill, a jig, but it's going to be up shallow. There's not going to be a lot of forward-facing sonar used. I don't think you're going to see some of that really play, because the fact that Mother Nature, as long as she doesn't just throw us a curveball, is going to allow you to go old school in this tournament. A lot of super shallow power fishing on a lake that's got a lot of bass that want to be shallow, and it's going to be like the perfect storm for these guys at a great event.
Okay. Are you a guy that likes to go up the river this time of year, or are you like a main laker?
Well, I tell you what, there's so many things you can do that you don't have to go up the river because the population of fish in Grand Lake is so good. I feel like when you get up the river, you're kind of committed and hemmed up. I think the guy that does really well is probably going to be a guy that fishes just somewhere in the lake, be it from Wolf Creek to the dam. Any of that's going to be wide open. But I think your opportunity to move around and catch the number of fish you're going to need to catch in this event to compete is going to be greater than trying to go up a river and gamble on 5 bites. Because remember, this is going to be catch all you can catch. And so I think in order to do that, you'll have to stay out towards the lake more.
Okay. So in your mind, you're up shallow. I know you're a power fisherman. You and I drew each other actually one time at an FLW Tour event on Lake Cumberland. Yeah. You're a power fishing angler. You like to cover a heck of a lot of water throughout the day. I truly feel like, being from Grand Lake myself, I feel like that's going to be a very strong pattern. So when we say that, are you looking at guys throwing crankbaits, jerkbaits, spinnerbaits? Are they jump fishing? What do you suspect is going to happen?
I think it'll be a lot of winding. I think you'll see a chatterbait, a spinnerbait, a square bill, all that really play with the occasional pick up a jig and flip it in a lay down or behind a boat dock next to a float, but I don't think you're going to see a lot of jerkbait and a lot of forward-facing sonar, a lot of swim bait. And I think those fish are going to be past that to where the ones that are active and up and catchable are going to be the guys that are on the bank. But I still think it's going to take somebody like a Edwin Evers or a Zach Burge. I got my money on Burge. Somebody that knows a little bit about Grand Lake, maybe a few little sweet spots, ditches, last little creek channels, that maybe aren't that easy to find, to where the fish will maybe pile up, and then a guy can catch 7, 8, 9, 10 fish in an hour out of an area to where the guy just roaming down the bank can't keep up. And so in this format, I think that's going to play really, really big, to be able to find a little pods of fish here and there. And if a guy can hem up 3 or 4 different groups of fish, I think he'll have a really good shot to do well.
Absolutely. All these anglers competing in this year's RedCrest have a substantial amount of history on Grand Lake. They've all fished professional tournaments there. The majority of them have fished the Bassmaster Classics, both Bassmaster Classics that happened in 2013 when Cliff Pace won, and then in 2016 that Edwin Evers won. There's a lot of history there, but I've got to be right there with you. He's a good friend of mine, and I'm not betting on him because he's a friend of mine. Zach Burge has a hell of a lot of, knowledge on Grand Lake. He's going to be very, very strong. I'm going to throw a wild card in there. I'm going to go with Revital Outdoors pro staff angler Greg Vinson. Greg's from Alabama, but he likes, he's a power fisherman. He likes going down the bank. He likes throwing that crankbait, that lipless crankbait, that swim bait. I think he's going to be a strong player as well. Edwin Evers, I've even got my money on Jordan Lee. Jordan's a power fisherman.
Yeah. This is really going to play into a lot of guys' hands. Between the lake being really clean and the population of fish up are going to be really good. Between the amount of anglers that do like to fish that way, it's really going to make it wide open. But
absolutely,
that little bit of knowledge of maybe just a few key areas for some of the locals is definitely going to play some.
Absolutely. So looking at the weights, I've been talking to a few friends of mine around the lake, and some of them predict that the tournament, you just talked about the moon phase. The weather's warming up each and every day of the tournament. I've got a couple of friends around the lake that are pretty good hammers that predict that someone could potentially catch 100 keepers, or maybe not 100 keepers, but 100 fish throughout the day on Sunday, that top 10 day, that final day cut.
It's really just going to depend on the weather. If it stays nice and they keep coming, absolutely. The lake's got a lot of population in it. But, I don't know that after 4 days of competition, if they can sustain being caught and being caught and being caught. I do think you're going to see a heavy weight to win, but I don't think it's going to take that many numbers to get to that weight. Say somebody catches 100 pounds, that very well could only be 30 fish that's going to weigh 100 pounds. That's a really good weight, to try and think about. I think you'll see maybe even somebody just catch 15 or 17 and be right there in the top 5 or in the hunt due to the fact that those fish weigh 50 pounds. They're really healthy, and they're going to show out to be really healthy. There's not going to be a lot of non-scorables caught, and so that's going to make it look really good.
I agree. And on my prediction on a big bass, I think someone's going to hook into an 8. Grand Lake, it's got a lot of good population of 4 or 5 pounders, but I truly, I've seen 10 pounders call that lake. It's not, not unheard of, but I think someone's going to catch an 8 pounder.
Yeah, I think Billy Lemon caught like 1140 or something or other 4 or 5 years ago when I was down there. So, it's possible, it's got some giants in it. And there's no doubt, there's going to be a lot of heavy 5s and some lower 6s because the lake's got a lot of 3.5 to 5.5 pounders in it. But the wild card of that big one, it could be 8, it could be 10. It wouldn't surprise me a bit either way. You're right.
Absolutely. One last question before we let you go. Do you think docks are going to be a factor?
Absolutely, 100%. Anytime you're in the Ozarks, a very, very large population of fish are always relating to the boat dock somehow. And the guys will figure out exactly where that's at, and they'll be able to pattern that. And instead of having to fish the whole dock, they'll be able to run that part of the dock that they feel like the fish is on. And you'll watch them really, really load some weight in the boat in a hurry. And this is going to be a great, great lake to showcase that on. But 100% docks are will play.
Wow, that's a lot of great information. Very, very excited for next week. Jeremy, I'm going to look forward to seeing you at the Expo. Looking forward to watching you the rest of this year on the Bass Pro Tour. Jeremy, I know you got a lot of people that support you, especially in your hometown of Cherokees, Missouri. You got a great family, great sponsor base. We want to give you the opportunity to give those people a shout out and a thank you before we let you go.
Yeah, well, they all take care of it. It takes all of them to make it all go around. And, it's just been a blessing on me and my family to have the opportunity over the last several years to get the chance to do this. Fishing's a big part of our family, not just me, even from my grandparents back to my generation, and sponsors have been a big part of it. But I just want to invite everybody to come out to the RedCrest, come by the Bass Pro Shop booth, visit with me. I'll be at all kinds of different booths, Pro Guide batteries, and everybody that's out there, Garmin, just stop in and say hi or talk about fishing, talk about a different lake, talk about deer hunting. It's going to be turkey season here before long. There'll be a lot of things to go on, but come experience it. It's going to be a great event and a great showcase at Tulsa, and so I'm looking forward to being there and just meeting everybody.
Are you going to be giving away any of your wiggle work collection?
Probably not, but I guarantee you at some point in time, we're going to be giving away something.
Oh man, I would have been the first in line for that because I've seen that wiggle work collection of yours. It's pretty dandy.
Well, I tell you what, that's another bait for another time. But here in the Ozarks, that was definitely a staple. And the Spro Rock Crawler is kind of taking its place, but there's still a time and a place for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a reason why some of them are bringing over $400 to $500 on eBay. So that's really cool. Well, Jeremy, good luck to you this year. I know you're fishing a lot of tournaments and you're enjoying your rookie season on the Bass Pro Tour. So we look forward to following you. Everyone that's listening to this, make sure you follow Jeremy Lawyer on social media. That's his Facebook and Instagram. And support all these anglers this week. Yep. They need it. Support the companies that are going to be there with booths. Please come to the Expo. Bring your kids. It's a very family-oriented event. A lot of great giveaways, a lot of great prize options available. You can meet the heroes that created the professional bass fishing scene. I think even Johnny Morris is going to probably pop in and see everyone there. So please come out to the Tulsa and enjoy the Expo. So from all of us at Revital Outdoors, I'm Theron Asbury. We want to thank Jeremy Lawyer for being a guest on our podcast today. Again, he's been talking about Grand Lake and the 2022 RedCrest that's happening next week. As always, God bless. Be safe out there, and we'll talk to everyone very, very soon.